Um, there you go. But to get to started, hi everyone, my name is Vivian Wong, and as Richard mentioned, I'm currently calling and based out of Vancouver, BC. And for the next 45 minutes or 30, I'll be sharing a small glimpse into my background, how I ended up in a marketing role with no marketing experience, showcase some few projects, and then end with some reflective lessons learned. And throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, feel free to send it in the chat below. So before I dive in, I just wanted to share three fun facts about myself, just to create some human-to-human connection. So the first one is I'm a huge Formula One fan. So I'm not sure if anyone knows what Formula One is, but it's kind of like motor car racing. And my favorite teams are McLaren and Lando Norris. I have a huge passion, I guess, for Hong Kong style cafes. And this year I'm currently training for my first half marathon in May. So all super exciting things for myself. And I think I had a question for you guys, but it's more so if you guys have one goal for yourself this year, again, don't have to share it. But if it's like sleeping for at least 8 hours or as big as, I don't know, I wrote flying to the moon, be really curious to see and learn what your goals are. So I understand that most of you guys are in high school. So I wanted to kind of start my journey taking you guys back to when I was a recent high school graduate, who I had no idea what I wanted to study or to be. So I'm not sure how many of you guys are planning to go to university, taking a gap year, or still going into senior year this following year. But for myself, I graduated with a bachelor's of health sciences. And I did a certificate in innovation and entrepreneurship. So I have no marketing experience from a formal educational background. And during the 5 years of undergrad, I got to explore every possible faculty from business to French to design. And I'm very happy I did because it wasn't until my fourth year that I found my passion in health sciences. And some key highlights I just wanted to share was I have a huge passion as well for extracurriculars. So I was on the SFU Dragon Boat team, TEDx SFU. I did a 8-month startup building a health tech technology startup. And this slide is really for you guys. My advice is whether you pursue post-secondary or not, just to take advantage of all the opportunities you guys have as a student, whether it's using your title as for student discounts, getting internships, or landing a coffee chat. I found that when people hear that we are students, they just want to connect with us because we are also just looking for experience. So you might be wondering how I ended up in a job right after graduation, but more specifically, how I ended up in a marketing role with no marketing experience. So for the past 2.5 years, I've been working at a Vancouver-based charity called Employ to Empower. And we basically empower low-income individuals to overcome barriers through entrepreneurship. So our entrepreneurs might have experienced mental health, substance use, or disabilities. And you can see I've been with them since 2023, starting as a project lead. And then last year I did project lead and marketing. And now I've actually transitioned out of marketing and I focus on entrepreneur engagement. Am I speaking too fast or is this okay for you guys?
That was great. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
awesome. So, to start my career, I was a project lead for the Vancouver Street Store. And this was an 8-month project that I did while I was still a student. And the street store was basically a pop-up store at a huge park that provided a dignified shopping experience for the downtown East Side community. So I'm not sure if you guys are aware about what the downtown East Side is in Vancouver, but it's basically a neighborhood for those facing homelessness, drug addictions, and other chronic diseases. So here are just some photos that you can see of the community. We offered free haircuts, hot meals, and just lots of winter clothing donations. So in this project, I'm not sure if you guys are all set on doing marketing, or if anyone has like an interest in event planning or project management. But in this project, I was a one-person team where I managed event logistics, marketing and graphics, sponsorships, volunteer logistics, and just everything else. So just wanted to break down the tasks just to give you guys a little bit of a better understanding if you do end up in a similar role. So I got to kind of learn how to communicate with stakeholders, with venue logistics, event planning. And then for the marketing side specifically, we got to do our content strategies, figuring out when we're going to post on specific days, and also learn website management along the way. And at this event, we were able to welcome 900 guests and secure $37,000 in monetary donations, which was really cool just to see the community come together. So in this role, this was also my first time where I had to re-download and learn Instagram because I actually deleted it during final season. So in this slide, I kind of took two examples that I designed. And if I had to critique myself from past Vivian, I would say Canva kind of saved my butt when it came to designing elements. Because you can see here clearly there's no creative direction or consistency. And I think why it's important, and I feel like you guys also know as well, but having kind of following branding guidelines and whatnot allows your audience to kind of identify a campaign really quickly when they're looking at your feed. So if I had to fix anything on this slide, I would kind of again follow my branding guideline colors, because you can see like the bottom right post, it's like straight green and then this like fire red and this random yellow that came up. And our branding colors are not these colors. And then on the left, I would fix the alignment as well as just the sizing of the elements as well. So so with that first role, I kind of transitioned into my second role, which was marketing lead of the organization. And the goal was to showcase entrepreneur stories through transformational storytelling. So how I kind of landed this job was just through LinkedIn and organic outreach. So if you guys are looking for jobs, I would also recommend, creating a LinkedIn account, and just following people that you admire, even if there's no opportunity at the moment for you. Because if you're able to follow them, then you're able to kind of learn more about their ins and outs. And when an opportunity does come up, you can always refer back to a past event, and hopefully create a more natural connection rather than a generic message of like, I would love to chat because I'm interested. So I wanted to say that in this marketing role, it kind of fell in my lap. But I'm also really grateful for my team for kind of believing in me, even though I still have no official marketing experience, and yet I still have a job. So in my role, I am a one-person marketing team as well. And I'm not sure how you guys do marketing within your clubs or even if you have your own side businesses. But I found this photo from Grad Girl Marketing just really funny because it really wraps up what marketing does. We're not just doing graphic design, but we also do content creation, copywriting, email marketing. So we basically do everything. And sometimes for myself, it does feel like we don't get enough credit because we're technically behind the scenes and not the front line. So again, just want to give yourselves credit in the marketing role that we are doing great work, even if we don't feel like it. So again, this was more so if we were all online individually. But I don't know if you guys have to plan any events at school using Instagram or TikTok. But a question I had was just like, what are some things you do as a team or yourself when you are given an event to capture? Do you assign any roles? Do you just YOLO it, or do you plan anything out? So in this slide, I kind of wanted to just showcase like kind of a breakdown of what it'll look like if we had to create a reel for our organization. So on the left here, it's just playing one of our graduations that happen every quarter and kind of wanting to just go through the steps from A to Z. And again, I feel like you guys might be aware of this as well, but just a good reminder to how much pre and post event work marketing actually gets involved in. So for pre-planning, we always ask, are there specific footage that we would want to need? Do we have all the equipment? How is the lighting? And then the day of the event, marketing again is usually the main photographer or videographer. Are we capturing B-roll? Are we capturing specific people on our shot lists? Okay, I see a thumbs down, but I don't know if that's just for fun, but I'm just going to keep going. And then the next one is collecting data. Like, are there specific captions or trendy audios you want to use? And then when you're reviewing and clipping footage, does it make sense to the audience? If you don't put it in chronological order, it's not really an effective post. And then lastly, when you're publishing it, it's not just when you upload, your job is complete. You have to reshare on your stories and respond to comments. So this is just a quick rundown of a template that we would use. And actually through my role, because I don't do marketing right now, I realize that marketing is not for me. And it's because it's challenging, but not challenging enough that I enjoy it. So if you guys ever feel like you're in a role that you thought you would enjoy, but don't, like, it's totally okay. To keep reinventing your own self. So the next few slides, I kind of wanted to just highlight two events from a marketing perspective. The first one, this was an event 2 years ago called the Cardboard Project, and it was basically a one-day evening film screening where we showcased our entrepreneurs, and our goal was to raise funds to support our entrepreneurs. And with this slide, I kind of just want to emphasize the importance of brainstorming, designing, feedback and designing how it continues to be an iterative process. So you can see here, there's 4 different posters of the same information. And it's actually one of our summer students that designed these all. Um, but it kind of showcases how you have to not just do one post when you're coming up with an idea. You want to kind of see what all your options are to really pick and choose the elements that not just you enjoy, but align with the organization's goals. And in the end, we kind of picked the last one here on the right as the final design. And this one, out of all of other ones, was mainly because the photo in the back here were past content assets that were used from past events, and the first few just didn't felt like our vibe, if that makes sense. So we landed with this one. So I'm not sure how many design iterations you guys have to go through, but it's always cool to look from your past work to see how you ended up with your final product. So this is just a second project that I wanted to highlight. And it was another fundraising dinner with the theme of dreaming big. And one thing I want to note is I'm not sure if you guys have experienced this before as well, but maybe it's because I work in a startup environment. But in a marketing role, you also end up being the event planner or the decorations team. And marketing already gets a very small budget just because we're not program facing. So I kind of wanted to highlight how we can be very creative with the resources that we already have without having to spend a lot of money. And I'm not sure how much you guys get as a budget at school. Maybe it's nothing, maybe it's like $20. But $20 can still get you a long way. So on the left here, I'm not sure if you're able to see the video, but this is like one of our fundraising donation backdrops. And basically how we did this was we found inspiration from like Pinterest, but we ultimately just ordered like a very cheap cloud backdrop off of Temu. And then so that was $5. And then we just cut everything by hand, which was in our eyes free. And then the right of that photo, I don't know if you can also see this, but there's like a picture frame and then a lantern in the back. But all of this again is used from dollar store, and then the clouds in the back, we DIY'd it ourselves by just purchasing very cheap paper lanterns, and hot gluing cotton balls onto them just to make it as clouds. So if you ever are faced in an event planning role, you can always ask yourself, like, is there anything in your house that you can use as a multi-purpose prop? I always like to visit my local dollar store for crafts or party decor. And then if you guys do you get the chance of exploring sponsorships or in-kind donations? Are you able to get like a printing discount, or anything as a gift card, just to cut your expenses at the end of the day? So in the beginning, I know I mentioned that I kind of experience imposter syndrome in my role. And to be honest, I still experience it every day in my role, while I still do a little bit of marketing. So some two self-realizations that I came up with was just the first one was to not take comments personally, because again, marketing is a very hard role, because we are quote unquote the face of the organization. So whatever people see, whatever people comment on, it's the work that we do, and the feedback gets directed to us indirectly. So kind of how I kind of put myself through these dark times, or just like times when it doesn't feel good, is to embrace feedback or just sit with the feedback for a few days before changing anything or taking it personally. But again, it's also very important to collect feedback, because we sometimes may be missing things that we might not see. So an example that I had to use this self-realization was in the very beginning of my job. I actually created a first like team post, and I kind of chose photos that I thought people looked good in, or had their eyes open. But I got comments afterwards where like they didn't like the photo I chose, because they didn't think they looked good. So kind of I felt really bad, but kind of working through it, I learned now, like if I were to use anyone's photos, I would ask if they approve of it first, rather than just upload. And then if there is any like criteria, also make note of that. And then just the last self-realization that I have as well, is there will always be better ways to do marketing, but we just have to let it go. And by let it go, I mean we just have to let it publish into the internet, because in reality, we can't be spending all our time on one single project, because the projects just always will keep coming, and there would never be a point where we hit perfection. So rather than trying to get your current posts better, I like to just think of like if there's things I can improve on, what can I do it in the next posts? And also when you are working in marketing, at a corporate level, like learning how to set your own boundaries of what you can do and cannot do, especially based on the resources that you have. So whether that's the budget, your team size, the people's skill level, or also like if anyone has a late request, maybe you set up a marketing request form and mention like they have to submit it X amount of weeks in advance, just so that you are also being taken care of, and not just constantly um, burning yourself out. So I know I've only been talking for 25 minutes, but this is kind of like my last slide. But I kind of just wanted to share, because again, I don't know much about any of you guys, which is totally fine. But if you are still starting off your marketing journey, in order to be good at marketing, you just have to do it. So start with something you enjoy as a theme and build on there. So with myself, like I might start an F1 account, because I really enjoy it, and build my skills there rather than building on something you don't enjoy. Secondly, you don't need a large budget to create meaningful stories. So everyone has access to technology. That's just an assumption. But really, it's not about how much you are spending, but it's the quality of the stories you're telling. And then if you guys haven't already, like start building a small portfolio of your assets. So whether that's like screenshotting a post that you created and then quickly captioning it, like why did you design it? And like what was your thought process behind it? Because that can help you when you are doing interviews, since portfolios are highly requested. And then the last one is just if you need inspiration, because I feel like when we're designing, we can only design so much to a certain point. Personally, what I like to do is to like go outside for a walk, or go to a candy store, which might sound a bit weird, but candy stores actually have like lots of colors and lots of branding packaging. So that's where I get a lot of inspiration from. And then I don't know if you guys are on LinkedIn. But I just mentioned a few accounts that I enjoy learning from. So like Girl Grad Marketing, Because of Marketing, and the Marketing Millennials. And those just always give you different perspectives, just to improve your learning. So that kind of wraps up my really quick presentation. I know I touched on my personal journey at a very high level, but if you guys have any questions or ever need a sounding board, I'm happy to either like share these slides or I put my LinkedIn as a QR code. Or if not, you don't have to reach out to me at all as well. But yeah, I'll kind of end it here and pass it maybe back to Richard. I don't know how much time we have left, but if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for your great presentation. We do have about, I think, 14 minutes left. I do want to ask, does anyone have any questions?
Yeah. So was there any project or marketing material you were unconfident about, but ended up turning out really successful?
Yeah, I think very early on we had to create like entrepreneur stories. And what makes it difficult, at least in our work, is just the demographic that we're also interacting with because they're not so familiar with social media or Instagram. I was kind of unconfident in like how would I get them to open themselves up to a camera and kind of like build rapport when I'm filming them. So kind of how I kind of overcame that was just instead of going straight to like what you would do to start a marketing video, I kind of would schedule like a pre-meeting with them just to let them understand what the project is rather than like tell them what's the project on the spot because that could be very overwhelming. I always send questions ahead of time, so that eases my nerves as well because I know they kind of looked at it and can have responses rather than us just like sitting towards each other with silence. And then I always kind of try to make the environment very safe and fun. So at our office, we always have like beverages and snacks, just to break the ice a little bit. And then when it comes to editing, I never just publish it. I always just make sure the entrepreneur feels comfortable and confident in the production that we produced. So I think that's an example that I would highlight.
Okay, thank you so much.
Anybody else have any questions? Who's interested?
Oh,
in
yeah.
marketing?
So I heard that you're a one-man marketing team. Was there any time that you felt you almost had to convince your team members of the effectiveness of a post or strategy you wanted to post out?
Yeah, so because I'm one person, I also give myself the feedback. So I never really have to give or learn from much feedback because I just talk to myself, which sounds a bit sad, but it's okay because then I would use like ChatGPT to get feedback as well. But if I were to kind of share a post with like my executive director, like how I do that is I always have like my meeting minutes prepared before going into these types of meetings if it needs feedback and be very clear like what the questions I'm asking for. Because people who are not in marketing, they will ask pretty much any question and want you to do everything. But kind of like how I hinted, we can't do everything given our capacity. So just being clear with what you're asking and your own like realistic guidelines. I think that's how we would kind of interact and lead a conversation.
Thank you. I had a question about AI because you mentioned ChatGPT.
Yeah.
How would you say that you use AI or just ChatGPT or just other AIs in general
Yeah.
to help you effectively work as a marketer? Or even as like somebody who's in business, just generally.
Yeah, so if I heard it correctly, it's just like, how do I feel about using AI in marketing? I think for myself and many of my own like friends, we were quite like fearful and skeptical because we were like, oh, what if like ChatGPT takes over our jobs? But I think for myself, like I've actually used ChatGPT really efficiently, which has saved me a lot of like stress, especially when it comes to like caption writing. So whether I don't really ask for it for ideas, but I always just do like a copy of like my own verbiage, and then I'll ask for it to give me some feedback. And then from there, it saves me like maybe 30 minutes instead of me like trying to edit it myself. AI is able to just improve it. And because it's so powerful, like the edits that it comes in are quite accurate in how we want to reach your audience. So I would encourage like if you want to use AI to do so. But again, like everyone has their own limitations, and that's up to yourselves as well.
Thank you so much. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Oh, shit.
Let me come in front of the screen.
Sorry, was there any time where you were trying to target a different audience but ended up with another target audience? And how did you solve it?
Yeah. It's actually really funny because we still don't really know, or we still haven't really created content that targets one audience. So right now at the organization, we have three audiences. One is corporations. The other one is participants to join our programming, and the third one is just the general audience. So what we don't do well at right now is we kind of just assume that the content that create hits all three audiences, which is not an effective way to do marketing. But there's always times where we're supposed to be focusing on one demographic, but we kind of did completely wrong. So we would have to just like kind of re-strategize. But what's tricky about our organization is like our year is really packed already. So if we want to create like a new strategy, it has to wait until the following year. But we would always just try to do like little things, whether it's like instead of an Instagram post, we would turn to like physical assets, so like brochures or action cards, to meet another audience. But there's always times where we're interchanging, which is not a bad thing, but just always finding ways to make sure we're hitting everyone with the same level of care. So yeah, we always do mix them up.
Thank you.
Any last questions? I think people are starting to go home now that they've been so starting to come. Does anybody have one last question? I
I
know
did
you.
I did want to just add one question. I was wondering in for your like colleagues who are more so in logistics for your organization, like planning events, do they ever run like their event ideas through you almost as like a, do you think this is feasible for us to market, or is it more so like they first plan the idea and then give it to you to market?
Yeah, so I think because we're such a small team, we always just involve each other through like every step of the planning process. So for events, we always like I as a team, even if you're not part of the actual event or the marketing team, we would ask like, does anyone have any themes? And then from there, we might just do like mood boards from the marketing side, and then we would present it to everyone else, and we would pick out what we think is doable, and kind of run with that idea.
I see. And just one last question. Has anyone ever thought that you were just on your phone while in reality you were like on Instagram working?
Yeah, I think a lot of times when I'm like posting, I don't know if you guys have the same experience, but like on Instagram, sometimes I'll be editing a reel for like hours. And it like suddenly just crashes and I have to restart. And I always just tell people that I'm not on my phone. So I think there is a misconception from the outsider perspective because we do have to be on our phones. But it's kind of nice that you can also edit just on your desktop, so it doesn't seem like you're always on your phone. But at the end of the day, if you're doing your job on their phone, like you're doing your job and getting it done. So I don't really mind it anymore.
Makes sense. Yeah, thank you. And does anyone else have any last questions?
I don't think so.
Cool.
All right, and that's perfect because we only have about 3 minutes left on our Zoom call. So I want to thank you, Vivian, again so much for taking the time and effort to prepare this entire presentation and for coming in today to give this presentation to us.
Yeah, no worries. I hope you guys have a great rest of your evenings because I know you guys stayed after school, but thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Do I just leave or? Okay, thank you, everybody. See ya.
Thank you.